Hey folks, welcome back to the Stitch Up, and today I'm in Neverland. That's right, we're going to be talking about Steven Spielberg's 1992 film Hook, or 1991 if you happen to live in the United States. And with me today, my wonderful guest, my dear friend, Yanicka. Yanicka, say hello to the folks.
Hello, folks.
Thank you so much for having me in your house, and thank you for all the decorations. It's beautiful. As I said, we're doing Hook. It was released on the 8th of December in 1991 in the United States, just in time for Christmas. But here we didn't get it till like March 1992. Yanicka, this is your choice.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why this film? Tell me.
I think, you know those questions you get asked, what's your favourite film of all time?
Mm-hmm.
This is always that film for me. I love it for the magic, the nostalgia, the costumes, the sets, the characterization, all of it.
It's just the whole business, the whole role.
The whole business, yeah.
Like, how many times roughly do you think you've seen it? I know one, because we watched it together the other day.
I reckon I've probably seen it at least 15 times, which isn't that many, considering it's my favourite film, but...
If I was to put that on a graph of how many times I've seen Jaws, which is my favourite film, I would win, because I think I've seen that movie about 178,000 times.
Oh, wow.
So, the funniest part that I find about it is that people didn't like it.
I can see why people these days might not like it so much, because there is no CG, and that's part of the reason why I love it. Just the craftsmanship and the hands-on element of everything that went into creating this film.
Maybe people didn't dig on Robin Williams being Peter Pan. I know that was a big joke at the time. But yeah, you're right about the...
I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah, I think the idea of Robin Williams being Peter Pan is strange. But then when you see him actually play the role, and you see that inner child, that sparkle in his eye, which is another reason why I love this film, because it really speaks to... I think it really speaks to children, and I think it speaks to the heart of adults as well, and that lost innocence that as adults we all want to go back to, that nostalgia of a simpler time, or of a more just loving and heart-centered time.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. It does have that kind of full emotional nature, whereas some kids' movies are kind of vapid and empty, but something like this or Goonies, there's a real core to the emotion of it and a childlike wonder, and who better to do that than the Robin Williams. Dame Maggie Smith, who everybody's in love with. We were talking about this when we watched it the other day. She's been aged up a lot. She was only 56 at the time.
Oh, wow.
And you know her from Harry Potter?
Harry Potter,
Who's she playing Harry Potter?
Oh, I can't remember the name of her character, but she plays one
Well,
of
you
the
suck
teachers.
on the show. No, that's just I was joking. We're told. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, that's fair too. She's one of the teachers.
Yeah.
Mrs. McGonagall?
Yes, that's it.
Holy shit,
Yes,
why do I know?
know?
That's fucking crazy. So she's only 56. She was aged up to play a 92-year-old Granny Wendy. Can you believe it? Bob Hoskins, a wonderful Bob Hoskins of Shmee, just... an absolute legend, R.I.P. He would alleviate... There was a lot of stress on set because there was a lot of moving parts. You're dealing with kids, you're dealing with pirates. Pirates are never easy to deal with on set.
Or fairies.
Far
out.
Flitting away on their little wings. Mermaids, getting everything all fishy. Sirens as well. People smashing their ships into rocks. It was a big deal. So what Bob Hoskins would do to kind of alleviate the stress is he would sing music. And he, various songs, but changed the lyrics. One of which was a version of the Lionel Richie song Hello, which included the lyrics, "Hello, is it Shmee you're looking for?" Come on! How would you not want to be that? We talked about how good would this have been to
it would have been so
be
fun.
on set for.
Oh my gosh, I would have loved it.
The word bangerang... also, drink every time they say bangerang and you'll end up in hospital. The word bangerang is actually Jamaican slang for uproar, disorder, or disturbance.
Ooh, I like that.
Me too. I think I'm going to start using it in just regular
Bangerang.
conversation.
Yeah.
What did you get up to last night? Bangerang. And then that's what the police are asking me when I'm in cuffs. I like this. Robin Williams, R.I.P.D. as well. We'll get into how difficult that is. He had his upper body and arms shaved. For the role.
Hairy man.
He was a very hairy man.
For the aerodynamics, for the flying.
Probably, yeah, because he was
makes so much
practically
sense.
flying. Yeah, a lot of resistance when you're always wearing a jumper.
Get a little dreaded up.
Imagine that little tiny dreads.
Yeah.
And then when he flies, they go flip like that,
Yeah.
like on
Changes
planes.
direction.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of those things at the back of a plane that sort of directs it. That's actually brilliant.
Yeah.
We should have written this film. Now this is
do the remake.
we're going to talk about what I think should be the remake when we get to the end, because it's fucking the most baller idea I've ever had. Julia Roberts nicknamed it Tinker Hell because she found it so difficult to deal with in the working conditions, because she was on a green screen set with nothing. There was nobody else there. It was just her reacting to nothing. She said it was really difficult. Do you reckon you could pull that off? Not Tinkerbell. I mean, you could probably do Tinkerbell, but like, how would you feel about being, you know, completely excluded from all of the frivolity going on, standing on a green screen talking to nothing?
Well, I think it all comes back down to mindfulness, really. Like, I think you can have whatever state you want inside of you with enough practice, but it's all a practice, right? And that's part of acting, which is all about recreating that inner state so that you can express it outwardly. I mean, it's much more challenging, and I can relate to that because I prefer stage performing.
Okay.
Because I can get the energy off the people, and it's also like it's also like a one-off thing. So it's not like I have to start again and get it right and interrupt my flow, and, you know, getting in and out of my flow state that really upsets my delicate nature.
As a performer.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I think that you can tell that she felt that way. Like, I feel like that resentment almost kind of came through in her character. Like, watching it again, I feel like she did a pretty good job. I don't know, I feel like, you know, like I said, Daryl Hannah, she would have been
great.
Cool cast.
She's probably would have been more of the time. I said Cyndi Lauper.
Oh yeah, Cyndi Lauper, yeah.
But that's because I'm in love with Cyndi Lauper. all of the times. All of the times, Cyndi. David Bowie. R.I.P. Fuck.
Jesus.
Sorry, did I scare you? Sorry. I'm just like, man, why are all these people dead? David Bowie turned down the role of James Hook.
Wow.
Right? There's an alternate world where he did it. And I reckon that would have been absolutely cool.
I'm kind of glad that he did, because Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah. So good. He's
but
hardcore the best.
Yeah. But David Bowie, though, like, was that around the time of The Labyrinth?
No, it would have been some years after The Labyrinth, but he was still an actor, you know, he was still doing things.
I can't imagine.
Neither can I. Like, I can't, because every time I think of David Bowie, because I only have, like, 3 experiences of watching movies with him in them. One is The Labyrinth, the other one's Man Who Fell to Earth, and then The Prestige, the Christopher Nolan film where he played Nikola Tesla. So I can't see him, like, trying to transpose his... Someone needs to do a deep fake of this on Dustin Hoffman's face.
Yeah, just put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got... Yeah, just put a deep fake in the comments that 9 people who are watching, one of you must know how to do that shit. But yeah, I reckon that would have been... Yeah. That would have been something else.
Imagine the pants he would have worn.
The pants alone.
And the shoes.
It would have been mostly pants.
Yeah.
They would have changed his name to Captain James Pants.
Yeah.
which was my stripper name. That's actually a really good stripper name. I copyright. Pants. Yeah, Captain James. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Captain James Pants. And out I come, James Brown. And then disappoint everyone with my actual penis. Tinkerbell was in the air a lot. She was on, like Julia Roberts, was on wires a lot.
Okay.
Right? But she had bare feet. So there was a person, an assistant, whose sole responsibility was to clean the bottom of her feet when she was on camera.
Oh, she had a fluffer.
She had a foot fluffer.
A foot fluffer.
And I reckon there's quite a few people on this planet that you wouldn't have to pay anything to do that foot job.
No way.
What was Quentin Tarantino doing at this point in time?
Maybe he was very quiet at this time. Maybe he was the fluffer.
Well, 1992, 1991, it would have been around the time he was making Reservoir Dogs, so he was busy.
Can I just say, fairies, one of the most delightful thing about fairies is that they have dirty feet.
Right?
I love footprints. And how does she have footprints up on his lapel? You know how she has dirty footprints?
Yeah, when she comes to him after the kids have been taken.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean?
If her feet are clean all the time.
No. They were cleaning them for camera.
I know.
But
it doesn't make sense. Why? Then you should be able to see the dirt on her feet.
That's true. I don't recall. I didn't pay a lot of attention to Julia's feet in this film. I was looking at her Noel Fielding haircut most of the time.
Yeah.
In a Playboy interview in 2004, Dustinhoffman, who plays the wonderful Captain Hook, said he had an aha moment with Bob Hoskins, who plays Shmee, about both of their characters being gay. They decided to play these characters, and I'm quoting here, as a couple of queers, because they felt that was what J.M. Barrie had envisaged for these characters. And Hoffman said, Bob and I were rehearsing, and suddenly we looked at each other and realised at the same time. We said, these guys are gay.
Yeah.
And I reckon that's... And then if you watch it, even if that's not the case, even if that's not the way it reads for anybody else, they thought that. And it enriches their performance so much. I mean, you said there's the scene where he's like fixing his mustache with his ears and he's straddling him. Like he's sitting on his lap. Yeah, like it's really...
Very intimate relationship.
It's beautiful. And he's testing all the food for him. And it's just like, it's such a beautiful... I would have liked more of that, if anything.
Yes,
you know,
it's that familiarity that they have together, and it just afforded them so much depth, so much more depth to their relationship, and you can just almost imagine, you know, the before and after in the scenes as well, like all the stuff in between. You know, what happened and how what happened in their past and how they got to, you know, where they are in their relationship. And you know, I really would have loved to have seen Shmee's reaction to Captain Hook's death.
Yeah, because he like runs into that room when the war's going on. He's like, Shmee, what about Shmee?
Yeah.
Shmee.
Shmee, what about Shmee? What about Shmee? Shmee. What about me?
And then that's it. You don't see him again. And then Hook, spoilers. I mean, if you're watching this, you've seen Hook, but you know, gets eaten by the clock at the end. Yeah, it would have been nice to have him come out and be really distraught, but I think that would have leaned too hard in it for a 1992. As I said, though, I would have liked to see more of that material, and there probably was more. The original cut of the film, like the working print, was 3 hours long. And the film's already big. It's like 121.
Yeah.
So 3 hours. So what's that other 40 minutes? I hope it was just like fuck scenes between Shmee and Captain Hook.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying?
That's why he was on the interview for Playboy.
Because
there's a whole other film on Pornhub.
But yeah, together Shmee and it's called
Hook and Shmee.
It's called Hook and Shmee and my hook. That's baller. So it starts with Peter, Robin Williams. He's at his daughter's play, and she's doing Peter Pan, which is terribly meta, and he's a workaholic. But the thing is, I don't know what his job is. At one point he mentions being an accountant, but then the kid explains it like he goes and he takes over companies, he blows them out of the water. Like I think he's in acquisitions or something. And that's when Wendy's got that great line, so Peter, you've become a pirate. And that was my best Maggie Smith.
I harmonised with you, I hope.
You did. No, it was perfect, yeah. Jack, played by, is it Cormos?
Cormos, yeah.
Cormos, yeah. Charles Cormos, young kid who plays Jack. Incredible actor. Yeah. Just so good. He was only in a few things. He was in this, what was the other one? Dick Tracy. He played Kid in Dick Tracy.
Huh.
And then years later he was in Can't Hardly Wait, just kind of the nerdy guy. And he's now a lawyer.
Yeah.
He don't know act no more. But he was very, very good. Peter, promises to make the kids game, and he doesn't. He sends someone there to videotape it.
Yeah,
which is... We're going to get into the Steven Spielberg...
The absent
father stuff quite a lot.
There's a whole lot of multi-generational healing going on in this film. And where you can see that message, that undercurrent of you don't know what you've got until it's gone. And it's like that really, that call to presence as well, which I think is, that whole absent father, whether they were physically absent or just, emotionally absent or at work all the time, whatever it was, it leaves a very big hole in a growing person's life. And, but then at the same time, as you go further into the film and you see what's his name? James, the character's name.
The son is Jack.
Jack. Yeah, you see Jack's relationship developing, with Hook, which we'll talk about further down the track.
It just got really bright in here because there's a window next to us. If you're wondering why the light changed, that's why.
I'm sure they were wondering why that changed.
They do! Everybody always telling me, why is the light always changing? You're not very good at your job. Well, my job is not being light. That doesn't make any sense. That's you're a being of light. Yeah, she's the being of light. Shut the fuck up. The other question I had, when Peter and Moira and the kids turn up at Wendy's, and Moira's like, oh, do you remember this and this photo of us? And he's like, who are you? You're like a different person. She's, oh, it's just this house, Peter. It makes me feel this way. Why don't they remember? Is it just magic? Like, why don't they? Why does he not remember? Like, she says to him later, Wendy, she's like, what do you first remember? And he's like, I remember you raising me. And she's like, you were, 12 by then, nearly 13. What happened before? He's like, there's nothing before that. I don't remember anything. Why does he not remember? Why does she not remember? Why does Moira Darling not remember?
Well, I don't think Moira in the story, she only met him as an older boy, as a teenage boy or whatever, however old he was when
she was sleeping in the bed and it was...
Yeah, and he fell in love and all that stuff.
All that stuff, which is kind of creepy.
But like trauma can do that though, as well. You can wipe out your memory.
She's just completely explained it to me. Like, you're absolutely right. It's a trauma. It's traumatic because we'll get into it later. But we're talking about life and death shit here. You pointed out at one point they're in the bedroom or something, and Tibbs is there. He's saying, "I can't find my marbles," and Robin was like, "Okay," and then But there's a great shot. It sort of starts here on them, and then Robin turns around, and then it goes to Wendy, and then it goes to Moira, and then back out wide again. And you were like, "Oh, it's moving all that." That's classic Spielberg 35mm wanna, or wanna being one long continuous take that changes not only like depth and angle, but also distance from the characters. It's really hard to do, especially with old cinema cameras, because you got to rack focus. Nowadays you got a camera. I mean, even this one that I've got here is, it is a cinema camera, but it's sensitive enough that if you've got on an autofocus, it'll catch people. But back then you had to have a guy doing this.
Yeah.
We're probably on the side of the camera, like racking all the time. Extremely impressive. And it's a staple, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like listening to analog versus digital.
Very much, yeah.
And I think that's also what I love about these old films. And that's what I love about Tarantino, because he, brings back that style. He
is a staunch advocate for celluloid. Yeah. So is Christopher Nolan. He shoots exclusively on Super 35 or 70mm IMAX stuff. And it feels different.
It does.
I mean, this camera looks good. You light it right. It's even got grain built in, so it kind of got a nice film feel about it. But there isn't a substitute for light passing through a lens, hitting a sensor, and then hitting a piece of film, as opposed to hitting a sensor and being recorded in ones and zeros.
Yeah.
And I love digital filmmaking. I think it's, it is the reason that so much stuff has been able to happen. Robert Rodriguez said it best: why would you not take up the tools to make the job easier? You can now make a film on your phone.
Yeah. And
that's great, but there is something to be said about the nature of traditional filmmaking properties that has nothing to do with nostalgia and everything to do with the way something feels.
Yes.
You can't recreate that digitally.
Yeah, if it doesn't have anything to do with nostalgia, but how it feels. What is nostalgia but a feeling, though?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
And like even now, when you do a story on your Instagram reel or whatever, and you can change the
What are you talking about? I don't use Instagram.
In order to generate that feel. And that's why I think another reason why I love this, and it is totally nostalgic for me, because it's like, do you remember in the 70s when they used to have bottle windows? I call them bottle windows, with the brown beer bottle windows. And it's like, you would have those sliding doors in the houses with the light coming through, and it would just paint the whole room in this hue of like a whiskey kind of auburn color. And you live your life like that. Like, that's cool. I love that.
Yeah. And that has nostalgia for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, big time.
the shadow work they do, like playing with shadows and, you know, real sharp stuff to give, you know, feelings of dread and uncertainty.
Yes, that's
It's
right.
like,
Yes, they use the light to play on your emotions. Like when Robin comes home, when Peter comes home and, you know, to find that
the hook,
dagger in the...
Yeah, and the hook mark
in the door,
all along the walls.
hook mark.
Yeah.
And he comes in the shadow, plays with these lights on his forehead and it makes him, you know...
Through his glasses. Yeah, and you can see the frame.
You see the frame. And that it gives him such a different look, but it doesn't even look like him anymore, but it's very unnerving.
Yeah. So the family come home to find the kids, you know, have been taken and Liam Neeson is nowhere to be found. God damn it, Liam, where were you in 1992? Probably being... What was he doing in 1992? Rob Roy? The police turn up and Phil Collins is one of the police officers.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I didn't know.
What the fuck is going on? And then Tibbs has got that great line to him. He says, have you forgotten how to fly? And he goes, yes, well, you know, one does. I'm like, Phil Collins, what are you doing in this?
Yeah. Well, imagine if it was Bowie and Collins. Imagine if Bowie and Collins were both in this film.
Imagine the soundtrack would have been very different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
John Williams wrote the soundtrack. Hulk.
Come and stealing children in the dead of night.
Hey, yeah, now you're talking. Bowie would be like, that was amazing. Yeah. I have to talk about briefly about Robin Williams. There's the scene, you know, I was saying he gets drunk and his kids, you know, have been stolen and stuff. And this is where Tinkerbell turns up and he thinks that she's a hallucination or whatever. Robin Williams is one of my heroes. I was devastated when he passed away. I was literally grieved for a week. And people always say, and I think it's so dismissive of people's feelings, but people always say, oh, you didn't even know them. Like, you know, yes, I did. I fucking grew up with Robin Williams. You know, I've seen Aladdin more times than I've had hot meals. Like, his stand-up show, he's like live on Broadway, was... It is a mark in my sense of humor. Like, it showed me what I thought was funny. It's the reason I'm effervescent and have silly voices and stuff, is because that was what Robin Williams was like. And you know, I read his biography last year, and I still grieve for him not being in the world, because he was such a beautiful soul. And also, he was terribly troubled. Like, he was an addict for a very long period of time, and you know, got over it. And then, you know, he passed away, and he you know, everyone knows he committed suicide. He was losing his faculties. He was losing his ability to be Robin Williams, to be the person that we all knew, because he was losing his memory and his motor functions and stuff. So, like, I imagine how brutal that would be to everything you've been your entire life, to no longer be able to be that. And he was so insecure about his talents and his ability to make people laugh. When his films bombed, he took it really personally. And I just feel like I wanted to take a second to you know, eulogize him a little bit, however many years after, because he was a really big deal to me as a child.
I mean, I felt like that about Rick Mayall as well.
Yeah, sure.
Like Drop Dead Fred. That comes pretty close with Hook.
Oh man,
we might have to do a show.
I think we're going to have to do
Fred.
Drop Dead Fred. Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned for Drop Dead Fred next time.
Yeah, because like when he died, I felt the same.
Yeah.
Like I was very, I was like, the world has lost, you know, some light.
Not to get too serious here on the silly stitch up, but yeah, I just wanted to, you know, to broach that. But
I think that a lot of the people who find humour and who find joy and who are, you know, what's that word when you inflict joy on people? When you're a comedian, you kind of like, you really intrusively, like, putting happiness in someone and inside their body. But the reason why they're doing that is because, you know, what isn't there, the emptiness or the sadness, it's alchemizing the pain, and it's transmuting it and changing it and creating something from it. I don't know, it's more fun to feel. You
can't control it either. Laughter is inflicted on you. If you find something funny, like, just try stop laughing.
Mong tongue.
Math tutor.
Pinhead.
Prison barber.
Peter gets flown to Neverland by Tink, and you know, what is it? First Star from the Right, straight onto the morning, and he gets dumped in like kind of pirate town, And he wakes up and he's, dressed like an accountant and he starts talking to these guys like...
No. That's the sound of Pirate Town.
Is it?
Yeah.
John Williams' score is fantastic.
Yeah, awesome.
Particularly when you get to the Lost Boys scenes as well. But so Robin's dressed up as a pirate, and this where you get some proper Robin Williamsing. He's finally able to kind of do what he does best, which is the physicality. One of my favourite scenes is, of course, the introduction to Hook, which is preceded by the introduction of Shmee, Bob Hoskins again, who is... He's the MVP of this film. I love him so much. And he comes out and does a tight five, like a tight, stand-up role. He comes out and he does those great jokes. He's so deep, he's almost unfathomable. And none of them get it. And he's like,
crickets.
He's so quick, he's even fast asleep. Ah! Now give him a hand because he's only got one. Like, just so good. And he does that little thing you're talking about. Captain James Hogue! Ooh. They love you, sir. It's like, oh, the pitiless fools, how I despise them. And then he smiles and turns around and it's all a performance.
Yeah.
And fuck me. Yeah, the mustache. Yeah. Fuck me, Dustin Hoffman is all in.
Ugh.
He is all in. I mean, he's like a great method actor anyway, great method actor. But he went to another level for this one. Like, he's just... Not only is he partly unrecognisable...
Yeah.
He just seems like a completely different Dustin Hoffman than you've ever seen before. You said it about the particular speech he has, Who killed that crocodile? Who turned him to a nice quiet clock? And who didn't think I could do it? Like you said, there was a real rhythmical nature to the dialogue.
Yeah, he has... I think the whole film is very rhythmical and, even so... The dialogue matches the score and precedes the score almost. It's like, it's all very holistic, I think.
He's aging and he's bored and he's suicidal. Like he's got some real trauma of his own.
Yeah, he's like, if he was a shape or like a planet, he'd be like this, like his energy
wonderful way to put it.
Really kind of like, whoa, like he's off the hook.
Yeah, he's completely off axis. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that you forget about it as well is just how fucking scary he is. Like, the whole film's quite scary. There's a lot of dark stuff.
He's scary because he's unhinged.
He wants his war. He wants his glorious death. The boo box. Putting a pirate in a box with a bunch of scorpions. What the fuck? By the way, that pirate is Glenn Close, the actress.
Really?
Yep, she's dressed up as a man. and I guarantee you, if you didn't know that and you watch it again, you're like, fucking is this Glenn Close? Yes. How did I never see Glenn?
Yeah.
And then Hook later on, when he's speaking of the scary nature of this film, Hook later on he's talking to Shmee. He's like, "Go on, we'll kill some Lost Boys." And so he goes, "Oh, I'm tired of killing Lost Boys and Indians. I've been doing it half my life." He's talking about murdering children.
Yeah.
They don't talk about that shit on Disney anymore. P.S. This isn't on Disney Plus. This is the part where Peter is revealed, where he sees, "That's my kids," and he sees the two kids hanging. He's afraid of heights and he can't reach out for them, and he tries really hard. And they're like, "Come on, Dad, just reach it out for us," and we go home. Mummy could do it. He doesn't do it. Hook's really disappointed. He's like,
Kill him. Kill them all.
Tink flies over and gives him a bargain. She says, "Give me time to train him." And that sort of kicks off our second act. And the second act starts beautifully with a literal cut from like above ground to underground. Peter falls off the plank and into the water and is saved by three of the best mermaids.
Oh, the best mermaids?
No CG, actual prosthetic tails, light hitting an object. How fucking good are these mermaids? You love them.
I love them. They are my all-time favourite mermaids in one film. I've idolised these mermaids ever since I've seen this film. I've drawn pictures of them. I've dyed my hair
you used to, didn't you? Yeah. Like, when you think about mermaids, are these the ones that you always go to? Like, someone says mermaid. Is this what you think of? Yeah,
I do. I think of them, and I like because they're kind of they remind me of what's that kangaroo girl? Tank Girl. It's like that, kind of like a bit punk.
It's a bit, yeah.
It's that 90s. It's the 90s punk.
And the diamantes and stuff they've got sort of around their heads and stuff. Are they supposed to be like scales, or is that makeup that the
I think that's just creative.
Look at
license.
this stuff. Isn't it neat?
Yeah.
And she's got like Diamantes, but
Yeah,
or is it scales, or is it actually put on by them? Is that them beautifying themselves?
It could be. That's the thing as well. Like I love mermaids of all kinds. I love slimy, scaly mermaids. I love mermaids with beautiful, bright coloured hair. There's like seaweed mermaids. There's like seaweed mermaids, witchy, you know, like there's all kinds.
There's the ones that bite people in that Pirates of the Caribbean picture.
Yeah.
We go finally to the Lost Boys compound, where we meet all the Lost Boys, and Peter means the Lost Boys, and we intro Rufio, who is fantastic, bangerang. Robin says, I want to speak to a grown-up. And he's like, all grown-ups are pirates. We kill pirates. And it's such a fucking cool delivery. And he's like, who's in charge? And they all point at Rufio. And he's like, does a bad. He's like, oh no, you, Mr. Skunkhead with too much moose. There he is. There's Robin. I saw him for a second. He's in there.
Yeah. I love how you love the bits that you can see of Robin. It's like the little gnome that he is kind of like bleeds out into his character, and you're like, there you are. I can see you, friend.
He's exactly. I can see the essence of who he is. And it's even more so in films like Insomnia or Final Cut or 1 Hour Photo or Good Will Hunting. He plays a very reserved psychologist who's also a lecturer.
It's a teacher,
and he's and he's grieving as well. Beautiful Academy Award-winning performance for a damn reason. Like, it's a beautiful performance. I watched it again recently. It's so good. But there's those little moments where he kind of pops out and he's doing that Boston accent, and he's like got the classroom of kids, and none of them are paying attention. And he's at the end. So all right, everyone, dismissed. Next week we're going to be talking about Freud and why he did enough cocaine to kill a small horse. And you're like, oh, there he is, it's Robin. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? So he sort of peppers himself into his own performances, which is admirable. This is also the part where Rufio draws the line in the sand and says, you're either on his side or you're on mine. And you get that young little African-American boy, and he goes up, and if I can find this particular clip, I'll put it in because the score...
Oh, there you are, Peter. But Peter, you've grown up.
It gave me goosebumps. I said it.
Yeah.
It's such a wonderful way to get into the training part of Peter becoming Peter Pan again.
And I love it because everything does slow down, and it's in those moments where you slow down and he's taking his head in his hands and moving his face and smoothing out all the wrinkles, and it's really sweet. It's beautiful. Such a nice moment between those two characters.
And that young boy, in doing that, like, everyone goes over and he just does there, and Peter's just kneeling there, and he doesn't stop it. Peter doesn't stop the child touching his face. He's like, what is this kid doing? And he just lets it happen.
Yeah, he's surrendered.
The ability for like, I don't have kids, but I know enough about them and have been around them enough to know that they, particularly at that age, see you differently than you see yourself. There is an otherness to grown-ups that children have to quantify on a daily basis. They've got to figure that out for themselves because it tells them where danger is, and it tells them where love is, and it tells them where nurture and caring are.
I think children just have this ability to pierce through the mask of the adult, that you put on whenever you're hurt or whenever something goes wrong, whenever you're embarrassed or whatever.
We cut back to Hook with Shmi in their little apartment with a little couple, and Hook's very depressed because this isn't the war that he wanted. Robin isn't the
worthy adversary.
The worthy adversary that he wants, and he's like
expectation.
And after all this time as well, and Shmi's like, I'll fix your lovely plate, and he starts making him some food, and he's like,
my life is over. Does that mean you've lost your appetite?
Yes.
Oh, goodbye. Where you going? Are you getting dramatic?
And there's a full-on nearly suicide in this film. Puts a gun to his head, and he's like, don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Don't you
Dare try to stop me this time, Smee. Try to stop me. Smee, you better get up off your ass. Get over here, Smee.
I'm coming.
Smee! This is not a joke.
And then he nearly shoots him, and he's like, it nearly happened, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, no. And he kisses him, and it's just that beautiful. Even if it is, I hope it's not. I hope it's not platonic. I hope they're lovers. But if they are platonic soulmates, that's beautiful also. So we sort of get past that.
Can I just say, there are so many different ways of being and so many different ways to relate to people. Like, you and I are really good friends. Like, we've said before, we've met, in previous lifetimes.
Oh, of course.
And all of that.
Cross time and space.
Yeah, cross time and space. And I think, there's humans are very good at putting things in boxes. It's like, this is a platonic relationship and this is an intimate relationship, but why can't a platonic relationship also have intimacy in it? And it's like,
Well, this is the scene where you, they're kissing each other. It's been very, very physical. The earwax, the straddling. Like, there is a physical nature to their relationship, even if it isn't sexual.
Yeah, definitely.
I just hope that it is. So Shmee comes up with the plan he goes, you could make those kids bloody love you. And, to usurp Robin, Peter, to take away the love from his children. And it doesn't really take with the young girl, but the Jack sort of starts to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit.
And what is he? He has an apostrophe.
I've just had an apostrophe. I think you mean an epiphany. So we got Peter training, and he's got 4 days to get in shape, which again, leading into this magic kind of world that we're in. This training montage also works perfectly well to Eye of the Tiger. Now, this is one of my favourite scenes. The invisible food scene.
Yes.
Is so great. It's where he's been training all day. He's exhausted. All the Lost Boys are sitting at this massive table. He's getting ready to eat. They lift up all the things, and there's no food.
But he can smell it though.
He can.
He can smell it because the whole tribe, or the Lost Boys, have all agreed that it's time to cook dinner.
Yeah.
So then he's like, yeah, cool, I can smell dinner.
Yeah, in his imagination, he knows that dinner has been cooked. So his mind in the magic is in his mind is going, dinner! That's what I do. So it's a really important part of his develelment as a character. This is where things start to switch for Peter. And
he gets eyes to see.
He does, yeah. It's like she's like, eat. Yeah. And he's like,
eat what? There's nothing here. Gandhi ate more than this.
By the way, this scene always makes me really hungry, even though I don't eat meat. It all looks really good. And it starts with Rufio playing the Dozens. Do you know what the Dozens is?
No.
A Dozens is an Americanism for insulting back and forth. Sometimes they do it in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from the 90s. Casey Jones and Donatello are doing it while they're fixing a car, and they're doing it by letter. So he's got to call him an insult that starts with A, then he does B, and C. But it's basically when you just insult each other back and forth. And Rufio's calling him like,
you are a fart factory. Slug-slimed sack of rat guts and cat vomit. Cheesy scab-hicked, pimple-squeezing finger bandage.
And Robin's still within the his guys as Peter Banning, or Peter Panning, whatever it is. He's calling him
nearsighted gynecologist.
So what does that mean? He has to get really close to the vagina?
I guess so, which is not so good.
It's not so bad.
No, if you're a gynecologist, if you've got to get up real close, you might, instill a bit of fear in your patient.
Well,
hold on a second, and you're like halfway in. Regan.
Hello.
The acoustics in here are amazing. That's kind of a Rob Williams joke too. Fuck me, I've lost the plot. So eventually, Peter, starts to get one up over Rufio.
You two-toned, zebra-headed, slime-coated, pimple-farming, paramecium brain, munching on your own mucus, suffering from Peter Pan envy.
What's a paramecium brain?
I'll tell you what a paramecium is. That's a paramecium. It's a one-cell critter with no brain that can't fly. Don't mess with me, man. I'm a lawyer.
And then he goes, hey, Rufio, go suck on a dead dog's nose. And he flicks an empty spoon and it cuts to the reverse and something hits Rufio on the face. It looks like paint.
Yeah.
And then he looks at the spoon. They use that really wide lens, pulls away from him, and he sees all the food.
Yeah.
It's a
then
really important development.
We, as the audience, get to see the magic.
What you've already seen.
That
Yeah.
is my favourite bit in this whole movie.
You get to see real magic.
We are let in on, they broke that, the what is it, that?
Fourth wall.
Fourth wall, yeah. We're in it now.
Yeah.
We are there. We've witnessed this materialization, this lifting of the veil. It's like, now we've seen it with our own eyes. There is no doubting it, that it's real.
Yeah, that magic exists.
Yeah.
And also, it's a great technique, again, by Spielberg, using that wider lens, pulling away from Robin's face to reveal the boys behind him, seeing that he is seeing it.
Yeah.
He's got the spoon. It comes around, and you've got the boys there, and they're like, Peter, you're playing with us. You're doing it.
Yeah.
And then it pulls up, and you see the whole thing ends up in a food fight.
Yeah.
Now, this part is another emotional step. This scene is super, super critical. Rufio cracks the shits. They're eating all this stuff. You know, they're having the food fight, and Peter stands on top of the table, and Rufio picks up a coconut and says, hey, Panda Man, catch this, and piffs it, and one of the guys goes, Peter, and throws him a sword, and without thinking, Peter grabs it, spins, and cuts the coconut in half. It lands on the table and spins. All the Lost Boys look at him, and he looks at the blade and looks around and then throws the blade down. And it's a very emotionally mature film in this moment, and in general as well, because Robin has just discovered I keep saying Robin. Peter, in all this childlike frivolity and fun and literal magic that's just happened, also comes violence. He is training to kill someone. That's
duality.
Yeah, it is, and it's way too much for him, which is beautiful. Again, an extremely important scene for the development of the character of Peter.
I think that it's an important lesson for every living, conscious being, because that is life. There is an element of, you can be in flow and have fun and all of that, but there is also that animal. There is also that primal nature. There is also death. There is also, the dark shadow aspect.
Yeah.
And you can experience all of that in one day, from the sun rising to the sun setting.
They set up a baseball game, which is really fun. It's one of my favourite jokes in the whole thing, is where one of the pirates playing the game tries to steal a base, and they're like, he's trying to steal second base, and the catcher pulls out a gun and shoots him. You would never fucking get away with that in a movie anymore. No way.
Now, stop it! We're playing this game according to Master Jack's rules. Bad form.
And then there's the great scene where he's like, pass me my bubbly. And there's a woman there next to him, watching, because he's bobbing this pedal still thing. This is Hook. And she's like, takes off his hook hand. He's like,
Yeah.
Ooh.
She gets off on it.
It's really sexy, and then lifts this other thing. We were talking about it. If he's in a relationship with Smee, that woman is absolutely a beard. That is all for show. So Peter's at the game as well, and he's watching. They've kind of snuck in, and he's been tasked with stealing Captain Hook's hook, and that's like one of his things to make him bangerang. And he watches the game, and he misses Jack. He sees Jack play, and then Hook calls Jack, my Jack. And Peter's like, my Jack. And he walks off, and this kind of spurs him on to fly. He keeps trying to fly.
Gives him the motivation.
He can't do it. He's jumping up in the air and falling on his face. And then his shadow helps him find the little hidey hole that he used to be in with the rest of the younger Lost Boys and Wendy when she was young. And Tink is there, and she's like helping him remember. He then goes through his life as being Peter Pan, meeting Wendy, meeting Moira, and then having the babies, having the child. He's like, I remember what it is. And then all of a sudden he opens his eyes. He's like, I know what my happy thought is. He opens his eyes and he's flying. And his happy thought is his family. His kids in particular.
Having his babies, yeah.
And this is where we go full transformation.
That's another big thing that I've based a lot of my life around, was the happy thought. And I think that's why Robin was able to really penetrate this character so well, because I think he used happy thoughts to get him through life and to give him the wings as well to rise above the traumas or whatever the depression. I swear this film saved me.
No, really?
Yeah.
It's that deep of an emotional place for you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
See what cinema can do? We all make jokes, but it's really, really important. As soon as he flies and becomes becomes Pan, he kind of forgets his mission.
Yes.
The magic sort of takes over and he's just a lost boy again.
Yeah, because he's been triggered back into being Pan, and there's a split in his personality.
Mm-hmm.
And Pan doesn't have children.
The third act, which is the big war. You were saying it as well. The Lost Boys have all these really cute non-lethal weapons.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Eggs and...
Eggs, yeah, machines that the chickens are sitting on the machine and they lay the eggs and the eggs shoot. Yeah. There's the paint guns.
Mm-hmm. Mirrors, just to
blind
mess
people.
Up their
yeah,
sight,
that's right. And the marble cannon thing. And then...
it's stuff that kids would do to just mess with their parents.
Yeah, exactly. Poor Rufio. Looky,
Yeah.
who's got hooky, and then he parries when he should thrust, and he gets a fucking blade in the heart.
Yeah.
And you had a wonderful point here too about Rufio says to Peter,
I wish I had a dad like you.
And it cuts to a reaction shot of Jack going, "Oh my god!" Again, people. You don't know what you've got until it's gone. This includes the children. It's not just about Peter rediscovering his love for his kids. It goes the other way too.
Yeah, that comes back to that intergenerational healing when it happens. When somebody in any family does it, then it helps. It opens up space for it to follow through.
And we reveal Hook to be quite a damaged, character in himself. Pan whips the wig off, and underneath it he's a bald old man. He gets eaten by the crocodile. The children fly home, and you said this as well. The children get home, their mother Moira is asleep, right? And they go, "Let's just get in our beds." And shit. And you were like, if my fucking kids did that, if they'd been missing for 4 days and then came home and just got in their beds and didn't tell me, I'd beat them. I don't know if you beat them, but I'm making that part up.
I'd flail.
You'd flail. Yeah, but I mean, that's messed up, right?
It is. Look, this film, I think maybe some pedantic people might have got their knickers in a knot about this film for things like that. Like, whenever somebody dies, no one really mourns the death. Like, Rufio died, no one really mourned it. Apart from, briefly. When Captain Hook died... Shmi was nowhere to be seen. Yeah, which is a real bummer. When Moira does wake up, she looks in the beds and the kids are there. Yeah. And then Wendy comes in, she says, I can just see them in their beds now. And they sit up and she's there. And they're like, "Mummy," and they run over to her and she falls to her knees. And this is some of the most beautiful acting in the entire film. The let going of the grief. Yeah. Of her of realizing they're actually there. Yeah. And then holding them, and it was just you can't mistake that. It's full on. Peter comes home and he lands in the town square and wakes up like it's been all a dream. And then boom, this is Robin Williams, 100% Robin Williamsing. And then he hears the phone ring. Because he's been on the phone to this guy in his office, all this time, and his wife had thrown the phone out the window, and he's trying to, get back into the house, and he hears the phone ring. He's like, "Hello, Brad? Have you been on hold this whole time?" And he's being Robin Williams. He's like, "Neverland, Lost Boys, Fight to the death. I'll be in later." Just being really thinking, "I've got to go climb a drain pipe right now." Why? Because I'm out of fairy dust. I can't fly. Why? And he's just that. He's being full on Robin Williams. He comes up, he raps on the window. He's being Pan.
That's right, yeah. He's come full circle, the arc is complete. Wendy says to Peter something along the lines of, you're not gonna have that life anymore, being a lost boy, that's the last of your adventures. And he goes, "Oh no, to live would be the greatest adventure." And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's a perfect heartwarming ending, and I love it. Yeah. It's wonderful. Yeah. It's a wonderful film. And I'm so glad you chose it. Spielberg is a master filmmaker. People give him a lot of guff because he kind of plays in his own lane sometimes, which I don't agree with, because especially if you've seen things like Munich and Schindler's List, he bends the rules of what he would normally be involved in, which is more of this sort of like Hook, BFG, E.T. kind of like child fare. Whether you like his films or not, he's an absolute master of his craft. And we were talking about it the other day. David Mamet, the playwright, said he studied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for years. And he said, I studied for 10 years or whatever, but if you master the first 5 moves they teach you, you're unbeatable. Spielberg has mastered whatever those first 5 rules of directing are a long time ago, and he's fucking untouchable. I think he's my favourite director in terms of like what I like that he puts out. There are other directors who I think make more interesting films and things like that, but I think his style informs what I do, so much more. For the sequel...
Oh, yeah.
Remember we were talking about this?
Yeah.
What you do is you get Jack, the actor who played Jack. He still remembers the adventure, and he's a professional baseball player now. For some reason, is drawn back into the adventure by an old Tinkerbell. You get Julia Roberts back, right?
Julia Roberts again.
Yeah, well, just for continuity,
No.
right? Or maybe it's a new type. Maybe it's a new fairy altogether.
Maybe it's Daryl Hannah.
Maybe it's Daryl Hannah with fish legs. And you get whoever that is, and she comes and says, you have to come back. You're the only one who can help us. Neverland is in trouble. And he goes back there, and it's like in Return to Oz, where Dorothy goes back and the Yellow Brick Road has been destroyed, and everything has just gone completely nuts. Maybe you bring Hook back, maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But this young kid then has to, sort of go through the same sort of trials Robin did, and you call it the Son of Pan. I will wait here while you write some checks.
Yep. And the guy who did Pan's Labyrinth should be the director.
Guillermo del Toro. Fuck! Yes! Oh, man. This is $1 billion idea. Trademark, Yanni and Regs.
Let's fly!
Oh my God, where are we going?
To Neverland.
Where?
Parting shots. Last thoughts. Final drinks about Hook.
For all of its murder and maiming.
All of its child death.
Yeah. I really feel like it's a wholesome film still somehow. It manages to retain its innocence and its joy, and I really love it.
Well, that's what we like to hear at the Stitch Up. It's all about the love of film, whether we're making fun or not. And speaking of making fun, before we finish up for the day, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to do a little quiz. A little bit of a game. Test Yanni's medal. And again, if she wins, she gets nothing. When we do a quiz, we change the name based on who it is we're with. So today's quiz is going to be called, Are You a Yanickan or a Yanickan't? Welcome back to Are You a Yanickan or Are You a Yanickan't? I'm here with Yanni. She's going to do some questions. They're mostly about Hook. They might be about some other stuff. We'll drop in some red herrings, and we'll put some points up on the board here, and we'll see how you go. Are you ready, Yanni?
I am.
You're ready. Okay, here we go. Bob Hoskins plays Shmi in this film, but in which 1988 film did he play a grizzled, noir-style detective with a zany partner?
It's got a duck in it.
It doesn't have a...
Roger Rabbit.
Roger Rabbit's in it, yes. What's the name of the film, though? It's not just called Roger Rabbit.
Big Boobies.
It's not called Big Boobies. Yeah, you know the film, but you got to know the name of it.
Roger Rabbit?
No. It's got to be the proper name of the film.
I can't remember what it's called. I know the film.
Who framed Roger Rabbit?
I got the first.
All right, I'm going to give her the point for that.
I get a half.
Question the second. I don't know why I said that. Quiz question the second, though. And one it's capitalised and the other one isn't. Anyway, Captain James Hook famously has a hook for a hand. But name one other type of implement that he has attached throughout this film. There's a bunch of them, but if you can name one, I'll give you a point.
He uses it as a chalk stick.
He does.
When teaching the children.
A chalk pointer.
A chalk pointer.
Yep. Yes. There's also a goblet at one point for drinking wine, and a baseball glove.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And there's probably some more as well, and a hook, obviously. So well done, another point there. Ding, ding, ding. Very good. Is there a dildus?
Yeah.
Yes, he's got a chalk. He's got. I've come up with a plural for dildo. And I say dildus all the time. And it's starting to catch on. Because I was hanging out with another friend of mine last night and she used it too. So, yes, he does have a dildus. Question the third. We're going to keep doing that until we get to the last one. Who plays... Now, I told you
Where's
this.
your rabbit? Oh.
Fuck! Who plays the pirate that Hook puts in the boo box?
Oh, that's Glenn Close.
It is Glenn Close. And do you know why she knows that? Because I fucking brought it up like an idiot, forgetting
Yeah.
what the question was. That's okay though. Wow, we're 3 for 3. And question the fourth. Peter says he missed the 60s because he was busy being what?
An accountant?
That's right, an accountant it is. Question the fourth. Answer the fourth. Yes, do a little shimmy, shimmy, shake, shake. 5. Question 5. Who wrote the score?
That's,
We talked about him.
I know we did.
Alright, fucking trying to help jog your memories and shit.
I have trouble remembering names.
He does most of the Spielberg
Morris
movies. Morris Chermacher. That's... check your IMDb, folks. Is there a person called Morris Chermacher? I doubt it. John Williams is his name.
That's it.
Yeah. Unlike the legendary composer Morris Chermacher. Who's your favourite composer? Morris Chermacher's right up there.
Brother the fourth of
Brother the Fourth. That was your monk.
Tchaikovsky.
All right. Brother the Fourth of Tchaikovsky, Chermacher. Okay. Oh Christ. Question the 6th. So that's no point there. Bam, bam. What is the name of Peter's business partner who keeps calling on the mobile?
Jake?
No, Jake's his son's name.
Jack.
What did I say?
Jake.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm right.
No.
He said it.
No, you're right about
Evidence.
it being Jack and not Jake, but you're not right about who's on the phone.
Gaslighting me.
I'm fucking not gaslighting you. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Well, I guess Jake, so I guess I'm wrong.
No, yeah. Well, no, I'll give you another one because I thought you had it. I thought you got it wrong with the, conflating it with the son's name.
Russell?
No, it's not Russell. It's Brad.
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 I'm not good with names. If there's more name questions.
Fuck. Name one of the insults thrown at Rufio when they're playing the dozens during the banquet scene. So what's one of the things that Peter calls Rufio?
Paranecium.
Paranecium brain. I'll give you that. I don't have that one listed down, but that is true. Calls him a paranecium brain. What is the only real adventure Hook has left? Death is the only real adventure. Points. Who saves Peter when he falls off the plank and into the water?
The mermaids.
The mermaids! The tree mermaids that Yanni loves so much.
The red, the green, and the blue.
Okay, and finally, in what year was the film released?
1998?
No.
3?
No. You've got it all wrong now. 1991.
But
It was released in December 1991.
December the 8th.
December the 8th, 1991. Yeah, you remember that date, not
Yeah.
the year. Shit.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't do too bad, though. 7 out of 10.
Pretty good.
Which is pretty damn good comparatively to how everybody else usually does. So, thank you so much for joining us again on the Stitch Up. I hope you had a good time talking about the hooks, and we'll be back next week with something fun. I'll bet. I don't know what it is yet, but it's all for laughs. And thank you so much, Yanni, for being on the show. She'll be a regular guest, I'm sure. What are we going to do next?
Ooh, I don't know. Is it
We
going to
said
be
it.
a Harry Potter-a-thon?
We're going to do a Harry Potter-a-thon next year. And we're going to do, like the way that I did with the Halloween-a-thon, we're going to do all the Harry Potters. But I think the next one we're going to have to do is going to be Drop Dead Fred.
Drop Dead Fred.
But yes, we're going to leave Neverland now, put some fairy dust on, and fly back to the real world. So thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. When I was in primary school, there was this old drunk guy that was homeless that just used to wander around the streets, but he looked like Santa Claus and he had a sparkle in his eye.
Oh, so you know my dad?
Yeah.
So welcome back to... fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Their teeth. Oh, I'm checking to see if there's anything in there.
Yeah.
No, you're good. This is so much fun.